woman. You're gonna be just like his heart. He's so mighty. Yes, he is.
Hey, I'm Lonna Hardin, singer, author, speaker, and host of Flawless Women. Thank you for joining me for this week's show. It's created to offer hope and inspiration to hurting, broken women who need a safe space to heal. Let down their hair, sit back, and get real. Get ready to embrace your flaws, be healed, become flawless from the inside out, and reflect the heart of God. Let's jump right in. Let's get flawless. Joining me today, I have Dr. Sonza Curtis. Dr. Curtis graduated from the University of Nebraska Medical Center Physician Assistant Program in 1996. After a decade of practicing, she pursued her doctorate of naturopathy from Clayton College of Natural Medicine in 2010. She was certified in functional medicine in 2014 through the Institute of Functional Medicine. She founded 3D Wellness in 2011 with the intention of focusing on holistic and integrative medicine. From a very young age, Dr. Sonza Curtis had a firm belief in the power to heal the body of chronic illnesses. Natural remedies were introduced to her through her grandmother, who was a midwife and a herbalist. She was further inspired by her experiences living in Germany and traveling abroad. She is the busy mother of 4 children and the grandmother of 4, serving in her community and going on medical mission trips globally. Not only that, she's the best-selling author of No More Band-Aids 2.0. And so we just want to go ahead and stop, first of all, and give a big applause for Dr. Sonza Curtis. Welcome to Flawless Women. How you doing out there?
Welcome. I'm doing amazing now that I'm here with the Flawless Women and the famous Miss Lonna Hardin, the songbird. Okay.
I love you so much, Dr. Sonza. You always have this ability to lift people up and from the most genuine place. And I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And I want to just start by really just even talking about how God just brings people together. I know we've talked before about, when 2 people come together, magic happens. And every time we're together, it's like our energy just feeds off of each other. It's like that iron sharpens iron thing, And I'm so happy because, when you're a woman in business and you meet other powerful women in business, that, most of the day you got your war clothes on in some capacity, whether it's cooking or on a business meeting or helping a client. But every time I come into your presence, it's that woo-saw moment. And I think we both feel it like, yeah, great, I get to take off my war clothes now, So I just want to say that I truly appreciate you. And I think it's amazing. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I always talk about how I met someone. And, when you're in business, you're always taking courses, you're always, doing professional or personal development. And we were doing, I think it was personal and professional development and met. But ironically, when the class was over, it was just crazy because we were talking and I don't know if I was on your page, but I saw that you were from El Paso and I was like,
Yeah.
And it's funny, but it's like, how many African-American people do from El Paso, because it was a very small group of us and we all stuck together. But the thing is that after we got to talking, come to find out, we actually attended the same church when we were little. And we're not the same age. And what's crazy is as we were talking about the church, we both remembered the same sermon that was preached. And it was by Dr. Ionia Locke, Bishop Ionia Locke, who just passed. And this was right before, this was like, maybe 6 months or 7 years, 7 months before she passed. Yeah, and we're like, and I'm telling you, I'll never forget she preached that sermon, admit it, quit it, and forget it. And you're like, I got saved off of that sermon. And I'm like, what's the probability? And it just shows you how, even though we were both young, we were listening and we were impressionable. And we were looking for somebody that could provide some sort of light and to whatever it was we were going through that maybe we couldn't tell anyone, because really at both of our age, why would we be listening to it, minute, quit it, and forget it,
I know,
unless there
right?
was a reason to be listening to it. So, I'm really glad that God just has a way of bringing people together. And I was really happy that when she did pass, I had someone that I could really talk to about just how significantly she had impacted my life personally. And then I know she impacted yours too. So let's just go ahead and go into your story. I know, when we were talking, and we've been building relationship and we continue to build, I had no idea all the things that you have persevered through. And it's because you always have a smile on, and you always
Mhm.
have um a life. Even if you go to your website, it's like it's just life, it's just life, it's just life. And so I really want to talk about what you've been through and how you became a doctor, and kind of where you started from and what drove you into this path.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, when you saw Iona demand respect, okay? And when I saw her, going back to how we met, I was like, man, when I get saved, she got the real thing. That's what I want. And I remember when I said in the altar, she said, you want to get saved? And I said, yes. I'm like, who said that? I planned on going to party the same day, okay? I have my clothes laid out. So that was kind of funny how we were in the same place. But let's backtrack with my story. You know what? God is just so good, and He keeps us. And I love the title of your show is Flawless, because a lot of times we look, oh, something's off, and we're perfect in God's eyesight because He made us. And the God I serve, He don't make no junk. Okay. So when I was a young, or probably about 5 or 6 years old, I was sexually abused from a very close family member, and never said anything, just kept it to myself because I felt, because the penetration was made, that it wasn't really sexual abuse, but it was a sexually inappropriate behavior. And I'll just be kind of clean. It was for my father, so you don't expect that from your father. So that kind of established my this relationship with my heavenly father, because I didn't think he would be there, because my father wouldn't be there. So then I found myself at very promiscuous, because I couldn't understand, why am I promiscuous? So my dad was an alcoholic, and my mother drug of choice was church. I think she was married to Jesus, and she had Jesus on the speed dial, because everything was Jesus. Pray about it, baby. Pray about it. You need to read your Bible and all that. And I'm like, no, I'm hurting. Just pray. And so therefore I would kind of get, well, church is like, okay, this is really crazy. I'm dealing with stuff and you're going to tell me to pray about it. I need somebody to help me deal with my issues. And that's when I saw um, Bishop Iona, and when I was 17, and I got saved, and then I backslid, and then I got pregnant with my oldest daughter. And I'm like, what am I going to do? This was my ticket to get out. My life is over. And matter of fact, right after that, I contemplated and was actually thinking about committing suicide. I actually had the pills in my hand, and my little brother came in and just messed everything up.
Mm.
And well, he messed everything up on God's plan. And then so I was on the abortion table, because I figured, what am I going to do? And I felt like I was in the pit of hell. It was dark. It was so cold. And I was like, God, if you get me out of here, I will not come back, and I will serve you. And so I got out of there, and they told me I needed more money. And I'm like, well, where am I going to get the money at? I had to rob, steal, and kill to get this little 300 some odd dollars. Where am I going to get some more money from? And it was interesting. My mother didn't even speak to me for a whole month when she found out, because I didn't tell her. And so fast forward, my daughter's 38 years old, and she's still here, and God is amazing. And so then, still from a broken place, I got married. And then when I got married, and y'all, and so we got married, we both got moved in the church, and we had our issues, and so it just didn't work out. And when I found myself homeless for the second time, in our marriage, I'm like, I can't do this. I have to do this alone. And I had 2 kids by this time. So I was a broken person, divorced, mother of 2. Only thing I had was in my car, moved to Nebraska, went back to school, and that's when I started living my life. And so if anybody's out there doubting that they want, your dreams, hey, you can do it. And so then I went to PA school. And then after I went to PA school, and I was still, my dad actually died in the midst of me getting counseling. So when I was getting counseling, they said, okay, now you can, go to your, abuser. But he died. And then that really messed with my mind because like I didn't even have a chance. If I wanted to, I didn't have that chance.
I was going to ask you earlier, and I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, because I know your mom passed, and I know that you have been uh, a real force for people in terms of just your ability to care for others and still move on and still represent her legacy. But I just wonder, did you ever have a chance? Did she ever find out? Did you ever have a chance to talk to her about it? Or was it something that you just continued to carry around?
No, girl, that was a mess. Okay. 'Cause right before my mother came to live with me, I've been taking care of my mother for the past 28 years. Right before she came to live with me, it came out. And then she became angry
Mm.
and she was upset with me. And then she was like, oh, did you guys have sex? I'm like, no, we didn't have sex. But it was inappropriate behavior. Okay. So she was like very angry towards me. So we had a strange relationship, but I took care of her until she died. So, but we made amends before she died. So yeah, she did find out about 20, like I said, about 25 years ago, 24, 5 years ago.
Did it
And
give you a sense of relief?
no,
I don't even know why I'm asking. I think it's because um, all too often we hide so much. I think we were having this conversation just this week about just carrying things around, not being able to truly come out. And I just wondered, even when you were talking about that you were going to commit suicide, and I heard you say you backslid, which was the term back then, like if you weren't, but I really was wondering what was driving. Did you ever get to the root of what was actually driving you to that? Was it the secrecy? Was it just the fact that he really was your father and you couldn't come to grip with that? Or was it that, you just wanted another better relationship? I'm just curious because everybody deals with things differently.
well, you bring up a very good point because after that incident, I kind of felt like I had a big, you know, neon light on my head because there was another incident that I was abused by another neighbor. We were in the military. Then there was another neighbor. And then it was basically, when I lost my virginity, it was lost it to a GI soldier. He was much older than I, and basically it was a date rape. And but in my mind, I thought I'd rather lose my virginity to somebody else than lose it to my father. So that was kind of my mindset there.
Mm.
So so that was kind of just my driving force was like, I gotta get out of here, you know. And in the back of my head, it was like God is gonna get me out of here. But it was like I didn't know how, but I knew that there was something greater. You ever have that?
Well, no, I love it because even as you're saying this, I'm thinking about when Dr. Locke came and you said you gave your life, to God, like you were seeking him then. And so often he wants us to seek him and he wants to be found of us. And even when it's in those broken, hurting places, like I can relate to your story, not because I went through that, but I still went through enough of my own, and I think I've shared some of that with you. And I think that um being able to find God, because the Bible says that he draws nigh to those that are broken, broken spirit and contrite heart. I think that's when you can really start developing authentic relationship with God. And so now when I look at you or when I talk to you, honestly, I would never have known that unless you shared that with me. And on top of that, it's so amazing that you can speak freely and from a place of giving and not from a place of victimization.
Well, that was work. Okay, Lana, I'm gonna just be real. Before I was like, if it's funny that God would use what the enemy meant for your bad, God would have for your good. I can remember, and you can remember this back in Old Testimony term. You stood up and you testified, right? Girl, I couldn't testify for the good life of me. I would stand up, I would get out and just be crying and bawling because I held all that in. It wasn't until I began to release that. And I think the body of Christ pray it away. Yeah, you shame it away, you wear that shame. But it wasn't until I began to get that mental health that I needed. Once I began to break through that, and I'm still working through it, and I speak now on several occasions, and I'm like, oh my God, who is this woman? I don't even know who she is. Because one of the things we have to understand, our purpose is bigger than us, and your journey is not your destiny. It is your stepping ground to your destiny, And so that when God gave that to me, I was like, he gave that to me this morning. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And I was like, Pat, your journey is not your destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that because you were talking about how you just needed to release it. And now you're helping other people release toxins and release um, infirmities and illnesses. And the thing about it is that, your nickname, when we call you the gut doctor, right? And so, when they say that was a gut punch, like it hit me in my gut, like your gut is what is the core of who you are. But now you're able to actually help women break free from, mindsets that are holding them back through weight loss, and all from a holistic place. So let's talk about that because that intrigued me as well. When I was really trying to narrow down your story, you started with some of that, but I heard a constant theme of healing in your family and healing in your bloodline and even with your grandmother. So let's talk about your grandmother because it sounds like she had a huge impact on the woman you are today and why you chose integrative medicine.
Yeah, my grandmother, we grew up, I had no idea that other people didn't grow up like this. We detoxed before we even knew what detox was talking about, right? I can remember my grandmother had an outside toilet when she first got her inside toilet. She would line us up. Now, don't let anybody cough because we all would get lined up and we would get a dose of Father John, the nastiest stuff ever. Man, I would take it. I would get in trouble because I would be taking it and throwing it up at the same time, and I would have to take it more. But I didn't know that was normal. Cod liver oil.
I was gonna say that's the first thing that came to my mind was that cod liver oil. I don't know who told people that. Does it really work, Dr. Sonza? I don't know. I gave up on it at 7 and 8 years old because that was my mother's answer for everything. Okay.
Girl, you wouldn't get sick because you didn't want to take it. Come on now. Let's tell the truth. You'd be like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, and the herbs. And I put a post in my Instagram that my grandmother actually had it was a gin bottle with herbs. Didn't know what it was then. Now it's a tincture. And she would take that and you would get a tablespoon of that with some type of liquor. I can't remember what kind. And she would make honey and lemon tea. And whatever you had, you take that and you go to bed and you wake up. You would have to change the sheets. You would be sweating. But I tell you what, it was like you woke up like, I'm fine. Whether it was menstrual cramps, whatever it was. And I'm trying to get my hands on that bottle right now so I can really see what was in there.
What was it like? I hear people say that about a hottie toddy. Was it a hottie toddy or something like that?
It was a hot toddy, but I tell you what, I tried to make a hot toddy, but it was the herbs.
Whatever got in there. She was the grandma. Yeah, back then they just knew how to just come up and just till off the land and just do so many different things. But she inspired you and she planted that seed in you. And now you're helping so many different women. A thriving practice in Atlanta, Georgia. And, I think when we talked about your journey. You didn't start at Atlanta, but you ended there. And it's the perfect spot for you. I think you talked about being a part of an interracial marriage, which there's a lot of people who are and they're happy. But you actually were kind of Nebraska where there wasn't that many uh, people of color, really.
No,
Uh,
I was in Missouri. And Nebraska's when I left. I was in Missouri
oh,
when,
goodness.
yeah, that's even worse. Okay, Nebraska. So yes, even the own church. I went to a UPC church, and they didn't believe in my marriage. And I would never forget when one time we had the elders of the UPC together, and we were sitting down, and I asked them. I said, "So." They said they didn't believe in interracial marriage. And I said, I've always been the inquisitive one, the one that always has questions. That was me. So I said, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean it where does that in the Bible?" And the scripture that they gave me when Noah's Ark, he brought two of a kind.
Hmm.
So smart mouth that I am, I said, "Okay, so you had two brown
You
cows."
too smart, Dr. Sonza? Oh, no.
Sarcastic or whatever. So two brown cows, two white cows. Did they have two speckled cows? Did they have, I mean, all of that because, or did they just have two cows? Okay. And then we all know the story of Jacob and all of that, how, with the cow, how the herd changed and all that. So finally, I'm like, my mother was going to that church, and I said, "You know what? I cannot continue to go to this church if they don't believe in my marriage." Now, my marriage was already broken at that point, but we stayed together trying to make it work. But it was just the craziest thing. And, people knew me by my kids. They were like, "Oh, the Black lady with the funny looking kids," and one woman of color. I mean, people think, okay, racism comes from both sides, because I had people of color come to me like, "Oh, so a Black man is not good enough for you?"
Hmm.
Or, "How is it to get a white man?" I said, "The same way you get a Black one."
Oh.
you know? So, I mean, I'm grateful for that experience. So I can see, things. And so I'm the opposite. My youngest daughter, I didn't want to do her hair. So I would put grease in her hair, and she looked like a grease monkey, but she had their hair, Caucasian hair. And so, yeah, I had to learn things from the other side. So a lot of times when we see another a Caucasian woman with a mixed baby, we're like, "She don't know how to do her hair." Poor thing. I was that poor thing. I didn't know what to do. My child's hair.
But now
So,
you have four beautiful grandchildren and you're happily married as well. And
yeah.
so you transitioned from one state to another, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So tell us about that transition period and really how you took off, because I know even when I was reading your bio, you invested in yourself and
Yeah.
you made a decision that you wanted something different and you went after it.
Yes, I mean, we come from a broken place, and honestly, all fairness, my first marriage, I had, you have in a relationship, you have a responsibility. There's not a one side. I had a lot of flaw to it. Just to be straight, I was unfaithful in the marriage, and I was saved, sanctified, filled with the precious gift of the Holy Ghost, and fire baptized, talking in tongues, but I still hadn't dealt with the stuff that was inside of me. So that's when I started getting counseling when I went to Nebraska. So I had to you never become 100% whole, but I had to get rid of all the trash and all the stuff. Because when I got in my second relationship, I'm like, "Oh my God, he's a man. He's got the same attributes as my other one, the other man." But at that point, I was at a different place in life where I could see the beauty of it. And I had to learn how, how we as women, "Oh, you don't need a man. My mom taught us that. You need to do this, do that." I had to learn how to be feminine around my husband. I had to learn how to be, you know, the damsel in distress, and I let him help me because I was like, I demasculated him even in our marriage, and we've been together for 25 years.
Mm.
And now we're good because we worked through that, because we said divorce would not come neither to either one of our mouths, then wasn't going to do that. But it is a learning experience. And you say out of the gut, doctor, the Bible said out of the belly shall flow rivers of living water. So I think it's funny that, that's where I always, work with is that gut feeling.
Mm.
We clean from the inside out, we purge from the inside out. So we do that spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Yeah. And it's been awesome. And I know I said I don't know if I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to. That you gave me that amazing black eyed pea relish recipe and collard green coleslaw. And I had never heard of it. And I said, "What, Dr. Sonza?" You were telling me all the ingredients. And you know what? It's been awesome. So every time you give me a recipe, I'm listening, I'm taking notes, I'm, gleaning from it. But, I just appreciate you. I appreciate your story. And let's talk about what you're doing now, because you did mention that you're speaking on all over the place. You have your book, which is No More Band-Aids 2.0. And I know you do a 21-day gut restoration program, and you have other things in the works. So let's talk about that and what kind of transformations you've actually seen happen as a result of people going on this 21-day gut health program.
Well, and thanks to you, you're helping me with my online course that we're putting together for the 21-day gut restoration program. So basically, it's teaching you how to listen to your body and behave accordingly. So we clean up the body by removing the most offensive different foods that's out there. What has happened in the evolution of food? We have the industrialization. You have the Wonder Bread, or like late 60s and early 70s, and we've changed the way we were eating, food. We used to get milk in a glass container that they would deliver on my grandmother's porch. Now we're getting in cardboard. And so how the food industry and agriculture has progressed, our body hasn't been able to keep up with that. And then we get into factory farming. So, the food that we eat now, we're eating distressed chickens, and that's why you see so many depression, anxiety. So it's all about teaching your body to eat good quality food. You would not put gas in a Tesla because it doesn't take gas, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to or you would not put diesel in a car that takes gasoline. But yet we don't think about what we put in our mouth, because it's just so easy just to put those things in our mouth. So the 21-day gut restoration, you take away a couple of the most inflammatory foods and we replace those with anti-inflammatory foods. And then we heal and seal the gut with a couple of supplements. So within 21 days, people come back, they have a decreased anxiety. I always tell it's a side effect. You may lose a few pounds. Everybody, all the women like that. But it's just that you get that frame of mind, and people want to continue and they want to go on because they see the benefit. Your skin may clear up. You're no longer fatigued. You don't have diarrhea anymore. You don't have constipation anymore. Talked to a patient today and she says, "Oh my God, my bathroom habits are so cool. I want to brag on them." So, one lady came to me and she's a comedian and she says, hey doc. I said, "What?" She said, "My boo-boo changed." I said, "All right now, I ain't heard that in a long time."
Dr. Sonza.
My boo-boo changed. So I was like, okay, I'm doing good. If the boo-boo changed, we good, girl. So you do it from even a mindset, because you want to change your mind. So I have people exercise gratitude. I have people get movement in your body. I hate the word exercise, so get a little movement. If you like to dance, come on, girl, just give me a little jam. That's okay. It's nothing wrong with it. And so that you just put yourself in a whole different place and a mindset, and your body will just thank you and applaud you. And it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, and that's why I was pulling up your website because I was thinking we need to let people know, because I mean, the gut causes so many different issues. It's not just one issue. And so I just want to read some of the things that you actually do treat and help people with, and then people can actually go and visit. It's 3dwellness.com, and 3 is spelled out THREED as in David, wellness.com. But let me just go through a list, and it's very exhaustive, so I won't go through it all, but it's about 40 to 50 different things. And I know that even this is not everything that you do. But some of the things you deal with are Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, histamine intolerance, leaky gut syndrome, ulcerative colitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, weight management. You also treat fibromyalgia, autoimmune disorders, anxiety and depression, decreased sex drive, decreased energy levels, osteoporosis, mood swings, which is huge, especially for women that may be transitioning into a different stage in life, decreased mental capacity, adrenal disorders, allergies. Go read the full list. It is so robust. And I know that you not only do detoxifications, you also do nutritional counseling, you do bioidentical hormone treatment and preventative health care, and even sauna management. And I just think that people that may uh, not be getting anywhere, because I remember us having a conversation about how some people just get frustrated because they're going to traditional doctors and they're telling them there's nothing wrong. Oh, it's all in your head. But because that you've been doing this for so long, you're able to listen and ask the right questions, maybe do some additional assessments, and then really narrow down what the problem is and where it's coming from. And so I just really think that I really probably we need to have you back, because this is just the beginning of everything that you offer. And I think that, there's a huge discussion as a woman of color. We now have, Madam Vice President who has broken, and changed history, right? But there's this big talk around mental health and wellness for African American women, especially because we don't always have time for self-care. But when I talk to you, and even we've heard it before, it all starts with what you eat. I'm personally a culprit of emotional eating or not eating at all. I think we had this conversation about just getting so focused. But there are little changes. And I think that's what I always enjoyed about our conversation. You never try to push, your phrases that I don't remember. Diet has the word die in it. I don't know how you say it.
Diet, the first three letters in diet is die, and diet implies a start and a finish. Lifestyle is continuum. So I teach people how to develop a lifestyle that they can maintain.
Yeah. And you always have these little sayings that just stick in your head and they flow very naturally. And I love it because it's not from a place of guilt or a place of trying to compare yourself with other people or be like anyone else. It's all about learning to love yourself, flaws and all. And so I definitely think that maybe we need to do something more, especially when your courses launch. And just even maybe doing a webinar and inviting some women on to hear just how you can actually start today. And these are not huge medical expenses. This is not things that are going to cost you an arm and a leg. These are just little small steps that people can make towards a happier life, a brighter life, and a more whole self. So I definitely am excited about that.
And Lana, I would like to tell you too, we're going to, speaking of things, my team and I were launching a 2-day virtual event where we're going to be doing a detox. And if you go in my Instagram, and it's Dr. Dr. Sonza Curtis, all the information's there. You can go on the link tree. So we're going to keep everybody up that posted. This time of year is a great time to detox from all the stuff that you had from Christmas, and we all overate when that time. I don't care how good you are. I heard a post the other day, nobody's 100%, and that is true. So we all falter, but just we'll go into, not only that, we'll go into and show you how different household items has different toxins in there. You, like, for a woman, by the time she puts her makeup on, if you're not a good clean makeup, you can have 300 different chemicals on your body and what those things are doing. So how to detox and keep your body as clean, because this is a temple and God has given us a mandate. And my mandate is to teach everybody else how to care for their temple and to be your own CEO of your health. And especially now in the time of COVID.
Yeah. And I love it. And I Flawless was given to me. I talk about it in a book, but it's really so much deeper than that. It started for me years ago, and I always had this desire to do women's conferences and healing conferences, though healing where women could actually come and just heal and not have to worry about being posted on social media, not have to worry about image or who's around, but actually a place of healing. And so I like that you're talking about the 2 day event, the virtual event. I definitely want information so that I can pass it on. And I would love to just see you doing more along that, because we started with, first of all, healing on the inside. And then now the actions that you can take to start that in a much more deeper level. So I definitely want to thank you, Dr. Sonza, for, coming on the show and taking time out of your busy day, because I know how full your days are, sitting down and talking to us. And if you could just give them the Instagram again, and I'll also make sure that as I'm posting the virtual information in the summit, that I'll also be posting that online. And when is it? Do you have a date already?
Well, I'm going to be on the Facebook Live. I have a Facebook group. It's a closed group. We'll be doing posting in the Facebook group. So if you go to my Instagram, you can ask to join the closed Facebook group. And I love that you're talking about Flawless here. I just want to tell you one quick story before we leave. I remember when I first started speaking a couple of years ago, not long ago, I was asked to speak at this conference, and it was a wellness conference. And I had grabbed my earrings. So a lot of you may be looking, I have two different earrings on. Yes, it's purpose. So I grabbed my.
This is me. I saw the I am Black excellence, and I honed in on that one. That was it.
So I grabbed the earrings, and when I put them on, they were two different earrings. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't speak with this because, we want to be that flawless, but we're not, right? So, but only flawless in God. And so I got up there and I put them on. I said, I can't go up there without the earrings. So I got up there. And so I used that as my opening speech. Like, what is wrong with me? And everybody looked at me and they couldn't figure it out because it was just this little subtle change. So from that day forth, that's my signature, wearing two different earrings. And I like it because the other flip side to that is I had a whole bunch of earrings. This is my favorite earring. And I lost the other one. Well, guess what? I can wear it now with other earrings. So it's like, I love it. So that goes to show you I'm not flawless and I'm unapologetic authenticity. I don't care if you don't like it or not. So all you women that are out there we are flawless in Christ and we're all beautiful in the image that God has made us.
You are flawlessly flawless, Dr. Sonza, and I love it and wouldn't have noticed or known. I just kept focusing on the I am Black excellence. Yes, you are, Dr. Sonza. Yes, you are. So
I'm sorry, it's it's Dr. Dr. period Sonza Sonza Curtis. That's my handle on Instagram, and you'll see it under 3D Wellness. So if you get into my link tree, all the information will be in there, and we will update the link tree as we progress. So me and my team are getting that situated now.
Yes, and I was going to tell you before we go, I want to hear, what is your favorite scripture, Dr. Sonza?
What's Psalms? Oh gosh, can't think right now. You help me out. I wrote it down. I'm not flawless, so help me out.
Which one? I don't. Oh,
no. Whatsoever things are.
Oh yeah. You said whatsoever things are. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Whatsoever things are true, lovely.
Whatsoever things are. That's Philippians.
Philippians, yeah. Philippians.
Honest, yeah, and of a good report. Think on these.
Think on these things, because you know what? Everybody tell you, think of the glass as half full, not half empty. So when you think on those good things, I tell my patients, if they said, well, my arm hurts, I said, you know what? Thank God you have an arm. Somebody somewhere wish they had an arm. So think on those good things. And you know what? Can't go wrong if you think on those good things.
You cannot go wrong. And I just thank you, Dr. Sonza. I don't know if they can visit your website, set up a consultation. I would encourage you, if you're really struggling with something or you just need a fresh start, especially it's the beginning of 2021, check out her 21-day gut restoration program. She has several programs, but if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that you start people with, because
That is correct.
it's an easy way to transition, and it's very doable. And that was, I mean, not a lot of changes. I think it's about three different changes, which is just the no dairy, the no sugar, and the no gluten, right?
That's correct.
Yep, yep. So definitely, I want to say thank you, and that's going to be it for today's show. I always enjoy seeing you, Dr. Sonza. I mean,
Thank you.
and we can do this all day, but I know you need to go too. But I'm telling you, every time I'm in your presence, I'm really grateful, and it's like a breath of fresh air. So that's it for today's show. And I just want to say another thank you to our my dear friend, my dear sister, Dr. Sonza Curtis, for joining us today. And we'd love to hear from you. So email or message us if you'd like more information about our guest, have additional questions, or would like to see your favorite flawless woman featured on the show. Tune in again next week for more candid conversations on what it means to be flawless in an imperfect world. I'll sit down with guests from around the world, hear life lessons, stories of triumph, joy, and pain. And finally, don't forget to live your best life and be flawless. You're worth it.